They're sleek, they're cutting edge, they're top secret, and they're worth millions of dollars each.
It's a beauty. I'll take two.
They're concept cars. And before you can hop into your SUV or travel in your sports coupe across country, your vehicle starts here as an over-the-top prototype that can make even the most difficult-to-please consumer drool.
That car is hot, very hot.
Auto manufacturers spend fortunes to grab your attention and hold it. And with everything from the powerhouses of the future to the zero-emissions vehicles of the next generation and some of the wildest things to ever roll on four wheels, you're gonna travel to places you never thought possible as we take you behind the scenes and behind the wheel of the world's most extraordinary concept cars.
Design and sculpting and art and mixing with technology in a fun new way.
I come to see what's happening in the future.
Every year, auto manufacturers unveil the latest models of sports cars, sport utility vehicles, hybrids, trucks, even motorcycles. Right here.
They're all over the world. Japan uses car shows for the same reason, and so do the Germans and the Swedish and the English and the Italians. It's a great way of finding out what the public likes.
It's beautiful.
We'll see. I don't know. I may have to work a second job, but we'll see.
Second, third, who cares?
And if you travel to an auto show, you'll see it's like a debutante's ball for some of the newest designs and most advanced automotive technology. They're also where car designers reveal to the world incredible ideas for the future.
When we roll out a new concept, it's very much like opening night for a movie.
We expose them at various auto shows around the world where we have our toughest critics, the journalists, the buying publics, and our fellow designers.
Where else can you take a peek at concept dream machines like the super chic Mercury Messenger or the Chevrolet SS Concept that looks like a modern-day hot rod? You might be asking yourself, where can you buy one of these tricked-out fantasy cars? The answer? Nowhere.
No damage.
But why would an auto manufacturer spend tens of millions of dollars to build something they'll never sell?
Why do we build concepts? Well, that's a good question. One, because they're fun. And we need to test ideas, to ourselves, the engineering value, can we come up with something new and make it better? But we also need to test the ideas to the public.
They're trying to find out what the public, the people that are buying their cars and trucks, think about the concept. Does it make sense? Do we really think the public is going to embrace this new concept?
It's this huge experimental test to kind of get an idea for what people want, what they like.
Nice booty, I like it.
And concept cars cover just about every emotion. You never want to stop smiling while you're traveling? Then take a look at one of the craziest concepts straight from Japan. If you think it looks like a box, that's because it is.
Right now, there's a trend among Toyota and Honda for coming out with boxes, coming out with cubes. It's kind of hop in this thing and bring all your stuff with you.
If you're concerned that your next car might have too many blind spots, open your eyes wide. Almost every inch of this concept car is a window. It's designed for urban driving, small, electric powered, and when you finally get that hard-to-find parking space, Just unload your very own scooter to make getting around town quick and easy. And if you're wondering, when is this vehicle going to be put on the market? Let's just say your grandchildren might be lucky to take their driver's test in this thing. This car may look strange, but it's a bold statement in a whole new era of innovation.
You're seeing Japanese cars that are starting to look Japanese. They're just saying, hey, this is what they're going to look like. If you don't like it, tough.
Talk about taking chances. How about a car that not only interacts with you, but has emotion too? Meet the Toyota Pod. You steer it with a joystick, just like a video game. See that poking out the back? It's not an antenna, it's a tail. And when you start it up, it wags to show you it's ready to go. Running out of gas, the car's exterior lights turn blue. Fill it up. Golden. And with personalized interactive GPS, you're gonna feel more like you're walking your dog than driving a cold piece of steel. These are cute, fun, but who would want to buy them? And why?
The jury's still out. We don't know whether young people are going to want inexpensive cars that have a certain style and function, or style and pizzazz, versus the boxes that are being designed now that are pure function. And it's going to take a while to find out.
A lot of times, despite your best intentions as a car maker, the public looks at it and goes, are you kidding me?
So whether you love it or you think it's just plain weird, almost every concept car is going to make you take notice. And that's exactly what car makers want.
We got to throw down the gauntlet. If we're going to be different, we're going to be different. And we're going to have to show the world that we mean business.
And that risk-taking is ultimately about making an auto manufacturer recognizable and successful. So if Japanese car makers have mastered the art of designing concepts that are all about total fun, then take a look at one automaker that wrote the book on total performance. Everybody's heard of them. Mercedes-Benz. Founded in 1924, this legendary German car maker has always strived for high-end luxury and cutting-edge performance that keeps the driver in mind, especially in this car. You want something no one else can drive? Something just for you? Then hop into the strange-looking moonshot, the F300 Life Rocket. It may look like one of the most insensible cars you've ever seen, but what it's done for the technology of driving is invaluable. You're not seeing things. The suspension is turning into corners just like a skier on a slalom run. This very personal concept car was the study model for a brand new prototype that unveils a whole new way of looking at driving.
The future of the automobile you won't find in crystal balls like this. You'll find it in our F400 carving.
It's a head turner for sure. Check out how these doors open. Get in and take it for a spin. You'll feel like you're in a James Bond movie, with open wheel wells and sports car styling that harkens back to another era. But where the rubber meets the road, this car is all about the future. In this animation, you can see that when the vehicle hits a corner, one side of the suspension folds into the curve, while the other stays perfectly aligned. It replicates a skier carving into a snowy hillside to take unbelievably sharp turns. The result of this technology? Let's just say if the car were an Olympic skier, it would be getting a gold medal for performance. There's no doubt concept car designers are making handling and horsepower a top priority. And Daimler Chrysler, the parent company of Mercedes-Benz, has shown the world it can cover the gamut of what drivers want in a vehicle, especially American drivers. Maybe you've thought about it. Lying on a beach, catching the ultimate wave. Well, travel here to Miami, Florida, to the trend-inventing South Beach, where models and beach bums meet to live the perfect lifestyle. But when you're cruising Ocean Drive on your way to soak up the sun, you just might be able to do it in this.
I like the wood panel because I like the woody.
It might look like the old-school wood cover station wagons that surfers made famous, but the Dodge Kahuna is all about present-day partying.
It's about people who want to get out, enjoy life, enjoy nature, and they don't want any boundaries between them and the rest of the world.
If you thought all car designers were just nerds with pocket protectors and a knack for numbers, you haven't met Jordan Meadows. He's one of a whole new breed of designers that's obsessed with making cars functional and fun.
Sitting on $3.5 million of a corporation's money right here, and there's nothing like it.
$3.5 million. But the designers needed that kind of cash flow to give consumers a look at the wave of the future.
It has a feel that is very California. And I think we're starting to see a little bit of that creeping back in with California leading design for the U.S. and bringing that back into the mainstream.
All the glass drops. You know, when you're in a minivan today, you're in this little cage. Here, there's no pillars. Check that out. Remember the cars in the 50s? Those old Woodies that everybody loved so much? Great materials. Here it's lace wood, aluminum, and it's real too. You know, that's classic American craftsmanship. It's not just cool on the outside, but we got some great functionality on the inside too. All of these seats drop down. They form a wave, which kind of keeps your luggage where it needs to be. Bungee cord holders, cup holders.
One look at the Kahuna, and you're gonna realize that concept cars are all about taking what you thought you knew about the driving experience and turning it on its ear.
What do you guys think? You like it? Yeah?
But why not present this car at an auto show, just like everyone else?
Problem with auto shows is you have a very isolated kind of environment where the car is static, it doesn't move, and people can't even touch it or experience it.
You can step right up to it. Yeah.
And when people touch a real vehicle in the real world, they've got a real opinion.
When people come up and talk about the car, I mean, that's really what it's all about. Concept cars are experimental.
It should be a four-wheel drive because you can take this right onto the beach and then dump your boards and go riding.
Yeah, this is all great to hear. I mean,
yeah,
you get good ideas.
Yeah.
The Kahuna designers definitely want to hear what you've got to say. But if you see the Kahuna on your street, remember.
No, don't do that. Don't touch it.
This car is worth $3.5 million. Coming up, feel the intense torque with some of the most powerful prototypes you've ever seen. Also, concept cars are designed to let you take a peek into the future. But the automotive industry's ambition to show you what might be has a radical history too. Beginning with famed auto designer Harley Earl's Buick Y-Job, concept cars have always tried to show consumers the excitement in the possibilities of technology and design. The use of concept cars as a tool to demonstrate the future has resulted in hyperspeed advancements in style and technology. But concept cars are really about the bottom line, making you want to buy something even better than what you have in your garage right now. And today's concepts have more elegance, more style, and more muscle than you've ever dreamed. And auto designers are the brains behind the brawn. Today, a new generation of concept designers, like the ones at Daimler Chrysler, are leading the charge in making hot rods mainstream. Especially with this bulked up concept. It's called the Airflight, and it looks like it's straight out of a kid's comic book. Why?
I'd say the average age in the design office is probably about 33. It's pretty young for a design office, which is cool.
It's a modern version of Art Deco, if you want Neo-Deco. It's got the very streamlined, tight design The use of speed lines on the hood, which is very much a deco design theme. It uses the cool metals to give an ambiance to the interior.
It's very simple yet like futuristic, like everything about it.
But no matter how cutting edge this car is, with its long front end, snubbed back end, and rear wheel drive, the Airflight is still old school muscle car. Listen to that muffler for even 1 second, and you'll realize that this beefy machine is just one of a new breed of vehicle that is throwing out what you thought you knew about how a car should look and feel. The Dodge Razor, the Super 8 Hemi, the Chevy SS, the Chrysler Crossfire, all muscle, all the time. But what if your vehicle had so much power that it wasn't an engine on wheels, it was an engine with wheels?
I think, quite honestly, when it comes to crazy concepts, the Chrysler Tomahawk has got to be one of the craziest that have been around for a while.
500 horsepower and 2 wheels in front. The people that built it for Chrysler and Dodge did a magnificent job if you look at the workmanship and the detail in the vehicle itself.
If it looks like it's just one big motor, that's because it is. But you won't find this engine in even the most high-powered Harley. How many cylinders do you think this double-wheeled mean machine has? 4, 6, 8?
It has 10 cylinders. It's an 8-liter. It's the latest version of our Viper engine.
What powers this came out of this, the world-famous Dodge Viper. By this point, you may be asking yourself one question: why?
When you think about it, we're a car company. We don't do motorcycles. The fact that the 2 top guys gave it the green light says a lot about their vision and their ability to see that far ahead. It is a good investment for us. It's a good marketing tool.
It was created to get excitement for Dodge, and it did exactly that. And it really does that when you fire it up in the middle of a car show. Everybody comes running because they want to see what this 10-cylinder motorcycle is all about.
The design intent with this project was probably first and foremost to package this huge motor in a way that was aesthetically acceptable as well as ergonomically functional. And also the character of this motor being what it is, big brutal beast. I tried to let that come through in the lines and the shapes.
Most everything that's not motor is polished aluminum, even the wheels. But don't go calling the Dodge Tomahawk a motorcycle just yet.
It's technically not a bike because it has 4 wheels.
And those wheels are like nothing you've ever seen. Watch closely how each one leans independently into a curve. Now you might be wondering what kind of rubber those 4 hubs can lay out.
At 1,500 pounds, it will do 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds. Theoretically, it tops out at about 300 miles an hour.
And with that kind of horsepower right at your fingertips, the Tomahawk is more than just unforgettable.
What it feels like to ride, all that power, comes on really quick actually, at will. And there's one word for it, and that's addictive. And anybody who doesn't understand why do something like this need only get on it and twist this.
Whether it's power, performance, or sheer innovation, concepts push the boundaries of imagination. And if you come here, to the hills of Pasadena, California, you'll find a place where it all begins, at the Art Center College of Design, a world-famous art school with an intensive design program. Designers start here when they're passionate about innovative automobiles.
I think I've seen some people cry. I think I cried once.
If you want to do automotive design, this is the most hardcore program that you can involve yourself in.
Generally, I'm here all the time. I don't really have a life anymore.
And in this serious design studio, students build prototype models just like the professionals. And their final projects end here. with scale-sized concept cars presented to the entire industry.
The translation between the paper and the actual 3D model it's kind of inspirational, I guess you would say.
But there's a lot to do between paper and glossy models like these. Hundreds of hours go into making just one of these innovative models. But the high-intensity program at Art Center has produced some of the most well-known designers today, including the person who designed the new Volkswagen Beetle, and the Ford 49 concept car, and this brand new Mustang.
I think there's no doubt that he's considered one of the finest designers in the world, along with another dozen.
I've been extremely lucky. A friend of mine, Ed Golden, says I have the fortunate attribute of always being able to fall up.
Legendary car designer Jay Mays also designed this car.
500 horsepower, 500 foot-pounds of torque, wrapped in a classic body shell that's arguably one of the most beautiful mid-engine cars of all time.
They displayed a show car, which was the Ford GT40. Once again, the public went crazy. They yelled in unison in Chicago and in Detroit and you name where, build it.
The people around the vehicle just kept telling us to build the car.
And they did. If you thought creating a scale model of a concept car was difficult, watch the time-lapse for the clay model of the GT40. Forget your everyday enamel paint. That polymer skin can be rubbed on, then adjusted to smooth out any imperfections. And if the final concept looks familiar, that's because it's a brand new version of a champion.
A car that's arguably the most famous Ford ever is the GT40 that won Le Mans in 66, 67, 68, and 69.
Race day at Le Mans.
And that was really important for the country. I mean, we were not only going to space at that point, we were going to take on the world of racing.
The candy-colored Fords are the fastest, with 6 of the top 10 starting positions.
After performance builder Enzo Ferrari rejected Henry Ford's attempt to purchase the Italian automaker, Ford Motor Company built its own high-performance car. And in 1969, at a record-breaking 217 miles per hour, the GT40 left every Ferrari it took on in the dust. This 4-time winner of one of the world's most famous races disappeared into automotive history until Jay Mays took the lead in convincing Ford to redesign the GT40 into a concept car, and now into a production vehicle.
We're reintroducing what is a vehicle that I simply think can't be improved upon, but we're putting modern mechanicals, modern safety, modern engineering, and putting it at a price, although very expensive, is in the world of supercars actually a bargain.
And what is a bargain for a supercar?
It's obviously going to be a vehicle that costs well over $100,000.
Mario Andretti equals that mark in his Ford Mark IV.
This car doesn't have a typical business plan. It was more for creating an image and an aura and recreating some history.
There's the checkered flag. It's an all-American win.
The GT40 may look like an old favorite, but it proves that designers who build concept cars can determine what you drive when you go to work or when you're on vacation. And as long as designers are thinking up innovative and exciting ways to let you travel where you want to go, the auto industry will continue to grow and change.
There aren't that many great automotive designers in the world. There's a handful, but those handful of designers usually have a team of very hungry young designers under them that are continuing to drive them forward and make them look for new solutions that are going to please customers. So kids coming out of school today have got to be obsessed with what I always call cutting the old man's knees off.
I want to create things that have a strong emotional impact on people in a positive way. Whatever it is, I want to create it hardcore.
I just would like to see my design out there. I'd like to see it affect somebody in some way, so that 50 years later, to somebody, it could be a classic.
Concept cars are the brains. In studios around the world, car makers design, test, and build just a handful of concept vehicles every year, like this Chevrolet SSR concept pickup truck. And here, at the GM Design Center in Warren, Michigan, state-of-the-art computer modeling allows designers to analyze and change designs in advanced environments like this, where life-size 3D computer models of concept cars can be studied even before they're built. But this secret design center isn't open for tours. In fact, they don't want you anywhere near the place.
There's a tremendous effort placed on confidentiality and secrecy in the marketplace because it's so competitive.
With billions of dollars in new car sales at stake each year, automakers are in constant battle for your loyalty. That's why the latest advancements in concept technology and design are treated with extra care.
The concepts are the crown jewels of the company in many ways, and you don't want them to know even what you're thinking, so you keep that locked down as tight as you can.
I think the secrecy is very, very important. It adds to the excitement.
And in this 18-wheeler, there's one vehicle that was kept so top secret, just a few engineers and designers even knew of its existence. It's a make of automobile that has always represented the finer things in life.
This car is destined to be a classic.
The whole car is about premium, the ultimate of everything.
Hear the name, see the logo, and two things come to mind: luxury and power. And Cadillac may be one of the best when it comes to its concept cars, especially with this.
I think the Cadillac 16 was a interesting and bold statement. It has some terrific styling cues to it, and it's gotten a tremendous amount of attention for Cadillac, which is exactly what they intended to do when they created it.
Very dramatic proportions, long hood, long wheelbase, big wheels, short overhangs. It's very wide and low.
Based on groundbreaking Cadillac concept cars from just a few years ago, like the innovative Evoque, the Cadillac 16 also gets its look from one car that's over 70 years old.
You can see various cues of this car from Cadillacs of the past.
Believe it or not, this is only one of 3 1931 convertible Cadillacs known to exist, and it was a major inspiration for the new version. On the outside, they may not seem alike, but take a look at this number, and take a look at this number, and take a look under this clamshell hood, and this clamshell hood, and the relationship is obvious.
Many people ask, why we did the 16-cylinder engine.
Not 8, not 10, not even 12, 16 cylinders. And if the number of pistons doesn't make you take notice, then look a little closer. 1,000 horsepower makes this Cadillac engine one of the most potent power plants to ever come out of Detroit.
It's a legitimate 16-cylinder engine and not a copy or a cobbled-together piece.
And if you think this aluminum-skinned, glossy black thoroughbred is the ultimate on the exterior and under the hood, then you might want to take a look at the interior too.
Really, you're just swathed in wonderful materials like Tuscany leather, burl walnut everywhere, and a silk carpet that you hardly want to have your shoes touch. Really an exquisite place to be.
And if a genuine Bulgari clock doesn't make you drool, then take a closer look at the steering wheel and you'll know you're experiencing one of the finest concept vehicles ever built.
When you first sit in the car, you can't help but be taken by the crystal badge in the steering wheel.
How much would you pay for a piece of cut crystal like this? Try $8,000. It's just another one of the details in this car that's designed to make you believe one thing.
This is a car that's, just monumental in scale.
Concept cars are all about elegance, styling, power, and now, this. Coming up, When you think about some of the most advanced concept automobiles, you probably think about performance, power, styling. But car makers aren't just working on how to do 0 to 60 in 4 seconds flat. They're also figuring out how to do the right thing.
Petrochemicals eventually, fossil fuels, are eventually going to start running out. We don't know when, but the experts agree that it's a finite amount and that eventually we will run out.
Since automobiles were first invented, people have been looking for alternatives to gasoline to get them from point A to point B. But what if the byproduct of you traveling across the country wasn't toxic exhaust, but something a whole lot better?
It's a zero-emissions hydrogen engine. Water drips out of the tailpipe. You could drink that water, it's so clean.
Fuel cells, like the ones found in the Toyota Fine S concept car, are changing the way people look at powering their vehicles.
This is Honda's hydrogen refueling station. It's a futuristic concept, and it's based on generating hydrogen from a renewable source, mainly sunlight. We take sunlight from the solar panels, we generate electricity. From the electricity, we break apart water into hydrogen and oxygen. And from the hydrogen, we store it in the station, and then we use that to fuel our fuel cell vehicle.
And it's not just sunlight that can make hydrogen. There are a variety of ways to produce this efficient fuel.
The method that's used prevalently today is to take natural gas, which is predominantly methane, and do what's called a steam shift reaction, where you add high-pressure water to the methane, and you get a lot of hydrogen coming off.
Once extracted, the hydrogen is contained in tanks. When you need to fuel, drive to a hydrogen service station and fill up just like gasoline. And why switch from gasoline to hydrogen?
The big advantages with hydrogen, number one, is you get up to 25% greater efficiency from a hydrogen internal combustion engine than you do from a gasoline internal combustion engine. The emissions are reduced 99% plus.
And now, Ford Motor Company has joined the revolution, using this alternative power source in a brand new concept car.
The Model U is really a project that we did to have a very serious look at how cars are produced, the type of engines that they will need in the future.
The hydrogen-powered Model U is the latest in alternative power. But look closely at the stylized body, and you'll see something you won't find on any other vehicle. All the body panels are recyclable. But when you're done with the car, don't bother taking it down to your local plastics recycling plant.
It's all soy-based materials, both in the fenders, the seats, corn-based tires with very little carbon in them.
Even the rollaway canvas top looks good enough to eat. The Model U takes renewable resources in automobiles to a whole new level.
The entire car becomes cradle to cradle as opposed to cradle to grave car. And so it turns out to be an entire cycle of life that the car can go right back into the ground when we're finished with it. It's a very exciting concept and one actually that's quite realistic.
And it proves with new alternative power source vehicles like the Model U, concepts aren't just about creating the most opulent cars on the planet. They're also about saving the planet.
The car is as clean as a field of corn because it's actually made out of a field of corn.
It just goes to show you, you can have your dream car and eat it too. Coming up, the line between fantasy and reality is blurred. We'll see some of the concept cars may let you dream bigger than you've ever imagined about how you're going to travel in style. But what do the biggest auto manufacturers do when they want to drive their imaginations wild? They come here, to Zumikon, Switzerland. But if you thought this tiny European country was all about cuckoo clocks and cheese with holes in it, then you haven't traveled here, to Rinspeed, where concept builder Frank Rinderknecht has created a supercharged empire designing some of the most experimental concept cars ever built.
People consider me
be crazy, to be outrageous. They forecasted a end to come soon, either being broke or going out of business or whatever. And we're in the comfortable situation now that people are really almost expecting it and looking forward for next year what's to come up.
Rinspeed builds custom cars for wealthy individuals, but they also partner with manufacturers to experiment with new features and new concepts. And here may be one of the strangest you've driven. Ever come across that hard-to-find parking spot only to discover that it's just a little too small for your car? Rinspeed has a solution. It's no illusion. That car is getting smaller. It's called the Presto. And it's one of a stable of Rinspeed concept cars that push the limits of auto innovation.
A prototype should open a door to a vision, should open a door to what the future could bring, maybe in a different way, but made us think.
Like this. It may appear to be a high-speed sports car, but push a button, and this vehicle becomes something else altogether.
The Bedouin, a retractable roof to transform a station wagon basically into a pickup truck.
And the interior is as unusual as the outside. It's got a cowboy theme, a rawhide interior. Even the Western-looking seats spell out Rinspeed in rhinestones. It's just one of the features that has allowed the Swiss concept maker to lead the way in designing some of the most unusual multi-use cars you've ever seen.
I create the concept, and then I have a very good, very efficient team of designers and technicians, and the rest is teamwork.
And this team just might be crazy. Where's that yellow car going? It's heading toward a body of water. No, this isn't an amphibious vehicle. But what it does do will make you want to hit the sand right now.
People turn around and say, wow, what is this? Does it fly?
Just hit a button, and a hoist lifts out another vehicle you might not expect to see on any beach, anywhere. It's not a jet ski. Get your motor blowing. It's your own personal hydrofoil. You may be asking yourself, what would drive a person to want to make concept cars like these for a living? The answer is simple.
Yeah, I'm curious and I want to see what I'm able to perform and what I'm able to do, and that keeps me going.
In the race to be the first, the fastest, the most stylish, car makers look to all sorts of places to experiment with their latest designs.
I think there's an uncanny resemblance about what our design team does and what a film director does. And when I talk about an emotional world, that's exactly what a film director is doing when they create a movie. So the emotional backdrop for a movie or the emotional backdrop for an automobile is essentially the same. I have automotive design friends that were in the auto industry and now work in the movie industry.
I didn't fit in very well in the car industry in terms of, my working style and what I wanted to, sort of where I was aspiring to go and what I was trying to do. I fit in a little better in the movie industry.
Nick Pugh builds cars for the movies. He also built this, the Zeno, a natural gas-powered jaw-dropper you won't see on any car lot. Take one look at this intergalactic-looking vehicle, and you may nod your head. Or you may shake your head. Either way, Nick Pugh doesn't really care.
It may not appeal to everybody, and it really isn't supposed to appeal to everybody. It's supposed to just appeal to one person, because each individual person's vision can be realized in a unique form. So it really represents the possibility of extreme individualism.
And this young designer has taken that extreme philosophy to the extreme. Would you believe he'll help you build your very own personal concept car?
I think that the most best comparison, or the most logical comparison, would be to that of a client and an architect. At the end of the first design phase part of the process, I would produce a finished digital rendering of what their car would look like with them standing next to it. And it's a photorealistic painting or illustration.
Nick's celebrity clientele includes film director Roman Coppola. Believe it or not, he's standing in front of a digital rendering, not a real car. his own personal sports limousine concept vehicle.
And it's a very sort of stealthy, quiet car, very almost like comes in at the end of the night and comes in like a shiny shadow and drops you off and then disappears into the night.
You can stay happy with the illustration, or if you have a few $100,000, Nick will finish off your vehicle just the way you like it.
It's like the process of coming up with something from nothing and having an idea in your head and then seeing it real and getting to use it is really very rewarding. It's very fun. And I would encourage people to look at that side of it rather than all the struggle and cost.
Concept cars are all about the advancement of performance, style, and technology. In fact, the future might just mean that anybody can design their own car from scratch. And some of these vehicles won't be built, they'll be grown. Whether it's traveling in tomorrow's super techno boxes, rolling down the highway in the newest style and performance, or getting behind the wheel of a retro futuristic power performer, there's little doubt that concept cars are built by people, for people who love dreaming about cars.
We're actually trying to tug on the heartstrings of the customers, and usually the ones that are the most successful are the ones that do that in probably the most emotional way.
The ones who make the money are the bold thinkers. They're the ones who go out there and say, you know what, I like this car. This car is important. It pushes all the buttons as far as we can tell. We're just going to build it. Those are the cars that inevitably, whether they're great successes in the number they sell, they're always the ones that you remember.
The best thing I can say for the car business is, thank goodness people care. If nobody cared what the next model looked like, if the love affair was gone, it'd be pretty dull around here.
Get a fourth job to get me the G35.
Yeah, we'll see.